Right. Et voila. Okay, here we have my my train of thought and development for taking off the Cush Drive sleeve on an OSSA 250. So Cush Drive sleeve here can be a bit of a swine to remove, and I've often seen these broken by people who've tried to lever here, snap this, damage the casings, break these, put too much heat on them, because sometimes you might need a bit of heat, but generally you don't need the amount, so you're turning it blue or red. And the state of some of the ones I've seen is obviously that's what people have done to try and get them to break the seal. What you need is something like these. Now there's the cheap way using the rear drive sprocket, there's my development, and then there's the best way is to make yourself a puller that's capable of taking this off the bike. Now I've shown in a previous video me doing this, and it was that tight on the bike I ended up striking the end of the puller to shock it off. Which is fine if you're going to be rebuilding the crank, but not if you plan to reuse the crank, which I do in this bike. So hence it's I did it before without using a hammer. So back down to this, and I'll explain what I've used here. So on this original one, 2 flat bits of metal, all mild steel, then welded up, and it gives, that was my initial welding, it gave something that I could use to pull off the sleeve. This was then later developed into this, which uses solid bar. The diameter of the bar was, doing this 100, was in the realms of 45 mil, but it was EN8. It was a higher carbon steel bar that I used, drilled and tapped. When I made this one and just welded some nuts underneath, I used an 8.8 bolt, but it was M10 by 1.5, and that wasn't enough. I had a few goes on to put this bolt on because it just stripped the threads out the nut. Sorry, it just stripped the threads out the nut. So I ended up EN8 with an M16 by 1.5 with a grade 8.8 again bolt, and that's fine. That will work even with tight ones. I then put 2 mild steel bars, which are, I think, M10, are they? M12s, bars, which I then drilled and tapped to take these bolts, and then got a piece of flat bar drilled up, ready to take the nut through the center, the bolt through the center, and these 2 bolts to hold it all in place. And that gives you something to grab hold of when you're trying to tighten down on the nut here with a wrench, a socket wrench, and that will pop it off. The bottom was an old piece of pipe that was just cut, which is the right diameter, and it needs to be the diameter to take this. Now this is the end of the Cush Drive. This is like the Cush Drive spring holder, and that fits on there, and that's what you turn. And you've got your spring at the back. If you've got your OSSA, you know this. So that's got to take that, because that's going to be how your puller works. So this then, let's do it as told. There we go. So this then fits in there, and there's a nice sliding fit. And that was the original, that was the same. So it's a nice sliding fit in there. So that fits in there. And the way it goes together is that then slides onto there. And I'm going to have to put the camera down to show this. So I'll do that first. So looking at that, this slides onto there, and you make what I call half and halves, which are there's a bar drilled out on the lathe and then cut in half, and it's the right thickness to fit in the grooves on the cush drive at the end there. So that's there just for the puller. So if I show you that, get this such that you can see it. There is the groove there, and they fit just nicely inside of that. One side, on the other. And then, because I've already pulled this off, that goes up there, and then you use a plug. Now this was a piece of bar, EN8 again, heated up to cherry red and quenched in water or oil to harden it, and that pops in there, so you're not tightening down onto the end of the crankshaft. You've got something to tighten down against. Tighten this up. Like so. And then you put your socket wrench on the end of that, tighten down until pop, off it comes. This has been on for 10 years. Some light. Et voila. And that's it off. Now, since learning to do this and building all this, I found something else out which if I'd known before I probably wouldn't have gone to these extremes, but this is sort of in my mind the best option. So I'll just show you down here. Whoop. There we go. Right, take this off. First of all, I'll show you how this works. So that goes on there, they go in there, and the sizes are done email, so that slides in there and is locked. So you can see hopefully in there that that's fully locked in place, like so. Now an alternative to this, which I didn't know about at the time, is the fact that your drive sprocket off the other side of the bike has got the same spline pattern. so it will fit on there. You can then just have to make the half and halves, as I call them, fit these on there, get that in place. Just pop this back on the bike for a minute. Like so, and using a puller you can pull it off. So you would still need half and half. You'd still need a plug to protect the crank, but I believe that works. It's not one I've tried because I've now made my puller, which as you can see works very well, and I can get hold of it properly. It's not trying to twist, which the 3-point pullers will, as you try and tighten up on the nut on the top with the spanner, it tends to want to twist, and you're trying to hold it and do it, and it'll be pulling on twisting on the drive sprocket that's on there. But if you're struggling, haven't got one of these pullers or not wanting to make one, it could be certainly a better solution than trying to get something down the back here, which I've got a few of these that are broken. People have tried to take them off in the past. So that's how to do it. That gets that off, and makes the rest of the strip easy. So hopefully this is of use to you. Thank you very much.